Welcome back everyone and welcome to World of Warship. Good to talk to you once again and welcome to my channel. Now before I actually gonna talk about this US destroyer line, there is latest video from Jingles, Mighty Jingles, you probably all know him, that he actually had a question to himself, and I very much would like to discuss something with you about the Fletcher and gearing. And that here is the Jingles question.
Which is kind of curious. Not entirely sure why. I mean, the Smolensk is a tier 10 cruiser, the Fletcher is a tier 9 destroyer. Why a Fletcher? Why not a Gearing or any other tier 10 destroyer?
That's a good question. I'm happy, Jingles, that you ask. I will more than happy ask. I will answer the question. Why Fletcher and not any other destroyers? I honestly believe that there is one particular destroyer better than Fletcher. Only one. Unfortunately, I cannot purchase it, and you, my dear subscriber, you cannot purchase it. What do you mean? It did one big mistake to release that ship. It's in my honest opinion, buster and strong in one way only, and that it's in the torpedo power, and which will beat almost every single destroyer in this entire game, and that is the Benham. The Benham, literally, it's overpowered. That you has the US smoke and buttloads of torpedo and more or less same concealment and same agile as a Fletcher. But one-on-one, I would very much like to say the HP pool of a Fletcher will always kill a full HP pool Benham. So Benham, it's the most overpowered broken torpedo boat in this game. It's not the best ideal, because if you are facing, let's say, another Gearing, another Fletcher, you might actually die. You don't want to open fire. You will always lose that engagement. So now the questions Jingle asks: why Smolensk division up with a Fletcher and not Gearing? Why it's this Fletcher such a strong ship? Is Gearing any improved from Fletcher? I would like to say that maybe. I'm just saying the biggest difference is, of course, and that it's the, shall I say, there's only two things different between Fletcher and Gearing. One, Gearing has much more guns and much more firepower. What I'm trying to say is that if you build this ship for a gunboat build with BFT, advanced fire training and all that, it's literally gonna be a very strong one. Not the best one, because they're kind of a floaty. You don't consider this a pure gunboat, because there are Harigumo and other pure gunboat destroyer which will eat Gearing for lunch, breakfast and dinner. So yes, gun power, you have one more guns, and there is something else about this. Of course, it has ridiculous long range torpedo. Let's talk about the torpedo, which they are 16.5, ridiculous long range, which Fletcher doesn't, you know what I mean. And also the HP pool. The HP pool of, they are the same 19 points captain, Gearing and my Fletcher. So Gearing's HP pool 22,900, which is pretty alright with my captain's build, and same build, same captain build, 20,250. So yeah, a little bit more than 2,000 HP pool left. But this is a tier 9 versus a tier 10 destroyer. But that's Jingles. The answer is that's the good start, the good stuff for the Gearing's ends, because in concealment and turning radius, and actually even the damn speed, you have slightly faster maximum speed with Fletcher. But the biggest difference is, of course, better concealment 5.8 and best turning circle radius of all the damn destroyers, 560 with rather 3 seconds. So I very much like to say that gearing, it's by far a huge damn big caliber. I'm talking about size wise, a bigger target, a clumsier, and you don't have that great turning radius. You cannot, turn on a dime like you do with your Fletcher. And something else, and this is absolutely the biggest difference, it's the Fletcher's torpedo, which, hear me out guys, the difference between Fletcher's torpedoes and the fastest torpedoes in this game by pan-European, I'm talking about Holland's torpedo or Östergötland, the tier 9, are only 4.5 seconds slower. You reload 4.5 seconds lower. But on the other hand, let's talk about damage. It's absolutely ridiculous because they are dealing 19,033 damage, one torpedo hit, and the torpedo detection by CR 1.4, which is actually better than pan-European destroyer by far. You almost have twice as much damage. Let me put it this way: if you take away the Benham's torps, now put all other torpedo boats and destroyers in the single game, how much damage you can do versus your enemy in 10 minutes, the Fletcher will win all of them. Even will beat the Holland by far in damage. How much damage can you do Fletcher versus Gearing? And you will win. You do more damage with those Fletcher torps, and you reload way faster. So overall, I would like to say this is the best combined world, with best turning radius, the best torps. Yes, you heard me right, the best torpedo, of course, but Zerra, how about the Yugumos, tier 9, or Shimakaze? Yeah, the truth is, this combo that Jingles mentioned in his video, there was, a Smolensk with a Fletcher. And what Fletcher has, it's the best smoke, lasts forever, and you can create a huge, damn long smoke. But at the same time, you are very maneuverable and good consumed. The only destroyer line which will beat this ship, of course, is the Japanese one. I'm talking about Yugumo, Kagero, and all that, you know what I mean? So I very much like to say that you will outspot. You're the one who's gonna spot every other destroyer beside the Japanese ones, you know what I mean? But if you're facing a Japanese one like a Yugumo or Shima or anything else, I very much like to say that it's kind of a close, especially if you go nose versus nose. You do have upper hand, you have much better firepower and more HP pool, which basically means you're gonna win 1 versus 1 in gunfight. So overall, beside this stupid overpower Benham, which in my honestly opinion, Jingles, it's the best combo. A Minotaur or Smolensk together with Benham, it's the perfect killing machines, because everyone most likely will lose that engagement. This division that you can team speak, and you have this stupid 2 smokes, or a US smoke together with a Russian smoke or a British smoke. But what I'm trying to say, it's this lethal combination. But beside the Benham, I honestly believe it's the best pick, Fletcher, because you are one of the best hybrids in the entire game, tier for tier. And I have played more than 600 battles in Fletcher. So why I'm choosing not Gearing? Why? I mean, Gearing, I play barely above 100 battles, and this is, close to 700 battles. So how it's so damn big difference? The big difference is, of course, those torpedoes. Those torpedoes are very hard to dodge. They are traveling by 69 knots, and if a battleship's hit couple torps, I'm not saying all those, no, I'm talking about more than 3, you're gonna be dead. No matter how big, huge damn HP pool you do have, those torpedoes are not tickling you, they are killing you. Yes, you may land more torpedo with Holland, but Holland's torpedo or Östergötland, it's a joke in that regard. They don't do a whole lot of damage, you know what I mean? So for instance, a Holland's torpedo versus a battleship like Yamato will do roughly 5,000 damage. I mean, here, of course, you do more than 10,000 damage, no matter where the hell it hits, more or less, because the maximum damage is 19,000 damage, you know what I mean? So 10,000 you will do for sure, and the chance to you flood your enemy, it's much higher in the US than, let's say, anything else. But what I'm trying to say, it's this combination, Jingles, of extremely maneuverable ship, very hard hitting, and something else, and that it's the reason I do much more success in Fletcher than, let's say, Goering. Well, I need to come closer, right? So I do not have a lot of range. Matter of fact, if a player, wants to sail away from me, then I kind of struggle, you know what I mean? But on the other hand, if I have the perfect opportunity, let's say that I'm 6.5 or 8 kilometers away from my enemy, you know what I mean? It's a reasonable range. They are traveling kind of fast, and you have a crazy little time to react. You have 10 torpedoes, and I always make one little bit left and one little bit right, so I can create a bigger torpedo wall. Yes, I might not hit so many, I'm talking about the damage, but all I need to do is make sure the couple of torpedo hits the target, and you know that particular ship is in a big trouble. And something else, the difference between this reload of these torpedoes are so few I'm talking about difference, so between Holland's or Östergötland, so you're still gonna make, let's say, 75% of all your damage in a battle torpedo, and probably 25% with your guns. So even though you have a great smoke, but you're kind of a floaty, so you really, your main bother are those torpedo, but also at the same time agile. It's hard to fight Fletcher because it's so damn agile. It's most likely you're never gonna torpedo as long as he's not in his own smoke. But it has a great package. So Jingles, that's, you have the difference. The Goering's actually a worse destroyer and a bigger target, worse concealment, turns as a brake if you compare with the Fletcher, and there are very few improved from the tier 9 US destroyer versus the tier 10 destroyer. You literally are being fooled that the tier 10 is always better than tier 9. It's not always the case, guys. Seriously, it's not always the case. And that it's something else that I very much like to say. The Kitakaze versus Harigumo, it's a big difference. I consider the Kitakaze way more as 10 times more fun and more stronger ship tier for tier than Harigumo. Yes, you don't have as much firepower, but you have all other tools. Speed, turning radius, you name it. So is it, my final question, always the case that the tier 10 is the way better? I'm talking about entire line is always better than the ship before it, like the tier 9 versus tier 10. Shall I go for the cruiser? There are significant a lot of cruiser there which they are lower in rank, but they are way stronger than the higher one. And yeah, it is weird, but it's not balanced for one single bit. So Jingles, I hope you have this awesome answer from me. I literally believe that Fletcher is by far a better ship, and there are very few things besides 2000 HP pool more than I'm talking about the Fletcher, and longer range torpedo, which they deal less damage and they reload slower. So go and figure. Let me know in the comment below what you think about those two ships. And is it balanced? If it's not, this is one of the oldest destroyer in this game, but it's still very, very strong in right hands with 19 points captain. And yeah, I honestly believe the combo between Fletcher and Smolensk is absolutely brutal. So guys, thanks guys for watching. Let me know in a comment below what you think about the, shall I say, balancing tier for tier. Is it always improved when you research higher ship? That is the main question. My answer to that, it's not always the case. Seriously, I'm really mean it. And for the case of it, I very much like to say the tier 7 Fiji versus tier 8 Edinburgh. I cannot see one single big factoring beside probably higher DPM and probably a slightly higher HP pool, but I do believe even in the DPM it's the same. I do not consider Edinburgh better than Fiji. That's my own conclusion about that. So guys, thanks guys for watching, and always captains, fair seas, and goodbye.